So the UAE has just introduced a new personal status law for Muslims. Now, this is going to replace a law that came in 2005. What does that actually mean for Muslim people living here in the UAE?
Well, this law marks a major reform of family law for Muslims in the UAE, replacing, as you say, the 2005 legislation. It maintains Islamic principles, but it introduces significant updates that modernize family law and provide greater clarity and fairness in areas like marriage, custody, divorce, and parental rights. And key reforms include new rules for marriage, age, and consent, expanded custody rights for mothers, and the ability for Muslim expats to apply their home country's laws.
And this is for any Muslims living in the UAE, whether they're Emirati or from a completely different country.
Yes, this is the Muslim personal status law, but there is a distinction between foreigner Muslims and Muslims who come from countries that apply Sharia in the matter of personal status. That is one of the changes. That being that foreigner Muslims can now ask the personal status court to apply the law of their home country, as long as it doesn't contravene public policy or go against the principles of Sharia generally.
So this latest change is one of many. We've seen over the last couple of years quite a few changes to the family law. What's the sort of overarching aim behind that, in your view?
The UAE has been actively modernising its laws, especially in areas like family law, civil marriage for non-Muslims, and child protection. And the new laws continue a trend by introducing structured, predictable legal guidelines, whilst also preserving Islamic values. And so the focus now is on protecting children, ensuring fairness in custody disputes, and really giving individuals more autonomy in their personal matters.
Yeah, you mentioned there that desire to sort of balance traditional Islamic principles, but we do obviously have this massive expat population here who aren't now Muslim. Do they have a different law that looks after them?
Yes, so for non-Muslims and for foreigner Muslims, they have a choice. So for non-Muslims, they have the civil family court in Abu Dhabi, or they have the non-Muslim law in the personal status court. So for non-Muslims, they can choose between those two. For Muslim foreigners, they can elect for their home country law in the personal status court, or they can just have the personal status law as it is applied across the UAE. And just to remind you that the personal status law is a federal law, so that applies across every emirate.
Okay, so let's get a little bit more specific. What if I want to get divorced or married here in the UAE? Is it different whether I live in Dubai or Abu Dhabi, for example?
Yes, it is. So if you are a foreigner who lives or works in Abu Dhabi, you can apply to the Abu Dhabi Civil Family Court, and that is its own jurisdiction and applies civil family law there with its own regulation and law. If you live in one of the other six emirates, you will either be a local Muslim, and therefore you have to follow the personal status law for Muslims in the personal status court. Or if you are a foreigner Muslim, you have now the option with this new law to elect for the law of your home country to apply in the personal status court. Or you're a non-Muslim and you can ask the personal status court to apply the non-Muslim law. So we now have different schemes for different people, which, when you think about it, is a very effective way of dealing with a diverse population. And it's giving people culturally relevant processes, depending on whether they're a local or a foreigner or a Muslim or a non-Muslim.
How about custody? Because I know that under previous laws, there used to be this sort of situation where children would stay with the mother until a certain age, and then they go and, potentially live with the father.
That's one of the biggest changes under the law number 41 of 2024. So previously, it was custody to the mother until a boy was aged 11 or a girl was aged 13. And at that point, the guardian could request for the children to come and live with them. One of the changes that the law makes is that custody now is extended to 18 for mothers, and a very important provision, which is that at the age of 15, children, for the first time in the personal status law, are given the ability to choose which parent they wish to live with. And so at the age of 15, they can make a request to live with one of their parents at that time. So uh, that's a big change. And it's all about protecting the rights of mothers, but also about empowering children when they're old enough to make a decision.
And you specialize in expatriate law. You've got a really close sense of what the law is like in different countries. We've seen a lot of reforms in the last 2.5 years here in the UAE. What's your view of them ultimately?
It's a very exciting time to be a family law practitioner in the UAE. More than ever now, we can offer solutions to clients that are culturally relevant and do it in a way that is respectful of the Sharia Islamic principles that the country has been founded on. And so, for people living here, to have the choice to either pursue a civil option or a personal status option is really good. And of course, just while we're talking about it, one of the other things that is really good about the family law process here is that it's just so efficient. I mean, the court works in a very efficient way. Decisions are made quickly, but without undermining the quality of them. And I have to say, I do a lot of cases in England as well, and it's a stark comparison. Cases in England take a very long time. There's so much delay with the court system. And when we deal with cases in the UAE, it really puts England to shame, actually, how efficient the UAE court system is. So I think for the residents of the UAE, they should be very proud to have a family law system that is both efficient, but also in substance offering them culturally relevant outcomes.